one thing I can definitely tell you is that everyone wants to learn about AI tools, which gets back to what you mentioned, that a lot of AI now is consumer AI. So I had very few people say, I want to understand how these things work in depth. And quite often, even with business leaders, they say they want to understand how to go about their AI strategy, but in reality, maybe they have very specific problems they're trying to solve. With most professionals, like, we're running this program funded by Innovate UK Bridge AI on AI for creative industries, and they care about tools a lot, like how can I create videos, how can I be more productive, how can I create images and this and that, which is interesting. I think on one hand, we live in a world there's a lot of information, and probably most people would find it overwhelming to try and learn about AI in depth. So and we interact with a lot of things on a consumer level. Secondly, there's some interesting, I guess, observations. One being that all these consumer companies, most of them don't really have any competitive advantage. They're just like different interfaces plugging into the same APIs. And it's not entirely clear whether, professionals, like whether we're talking about individuals or businesses, has fully grasped how AI is going to shift the productivity landscape, as well as the landscape of, what it means to have a career overall, right? We do seeing, I think, some negative effects in universities, which I think the model of, I'm going to study something for 3 or 4 years, maybe it's no longer good enough, with some exceptions, obviously. So there's definitely some real, let's say, genuine effects, positive or negative, of AI in both education and professional life. That being said, like very, very accurately pointed out, that AI is very generic and general and open-ended. However, I think that most companies that have tried to create specialized AIs, they've been essentially failed business-wise, simply because there's so many resources pouring in OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and all these companies, that they can still afford to train these very generic and general models. There is some merit to the assumption that by training on knowledge which doesn't seem relevant at that point in time, an AI can still get smarter because it extracts different types of concepts and then it can blend them in all sorts of ways. But that's a hypothesis, right? Because it's quite likely it's still memorizing stuff to a large extent, and then it just applies an associative layer on top.